What's up, guys? Welcome to a new video. So today we're going to talk about each moon sign's romantic need. So as you know, everyone has a moon sign. It's the most important part of your astrological chart, because if you don't understand your moon sign, give your moon sign what it wants, then there's no way you can be happy. Now, in the context of a relationship, if this is already true personally, when you're by yourself or in your everyday life, well, imagine how much more important this is in a relationship. So let's get right into it, and let's start in a different order. Let's start with Scorpio. So I have to write these down. Okay, so Scorpio Moon in love, 100% has to be able to share its darkness and all of its dark emotions with the person it's with. It needs to feel like it is with someone who understands and doesn't judge its intensity, doesn't Scorpio moons can really, it's a very, very emotional moon sign, right? And also for any water sign, it's going to require a level of time alone, a level of privacy, right? So there's certain elements to a Scorpio moon where it's like, okay, this is the way I am, and not every moon sign, other astrological alignment, right, or type of person is going to understand that, is going to honor that. So I have notes for these ones also. So yeah, so it needs someone grounding who can sit with them through their ups and downs and intense emotions, right? So it's like, obviously opposites attract. So it's not like every water moon needs another water moon, right? But stability, right? I would say Scorpio moon definitely needs a rock. It needs someone who, I'm not going to say that person has to be like, that very earthy Taurus, Capricorn, like very similar version, even keeled, like kind of similar version of themselves day to day, but they definitely don't need someone who adds to the drama. Not that they're creating drama, but who makes the emotional element difficult, right? So a good listener. And yeah, just like it's really about comfort, psychic comfort, I would say, and because they're very intuitive, right? So they're gonna know if this is an honest person, if this is, And I would say someone who's not a pussy, to be frank, right? Someone who's not afraid to talk about very intense topics and kind of cut through the BS and get right into the core of things, right? Scorpio moon, obviously, depending on the whole rest of the chart, it's no BS. They need someone not afraid of the darkness. They need someone, yeah. So that's another thing, is that they need someone who has done enough work themselves to where when the Scorpio moon, goes into those darker places. Not to say that they're all like dark individuals all the time. It's just, even if it's something like the occult or something like, talking about studies of life after death, or so many different things, right? Areas of life that are more taboo. It's, you want someone who's been battle tested in a way, or who at least is strong. They need someone who is intense and ready to go deep and transform as one. Yeah. So I mean, obviously Scorpio is all about transformation, and a lot of times in relationships they go through intense transformations as well, and they don't want someone who is going to shy away from doing that. Okay, so next we have Cancer Moon. So I would say Cancer Moon, they want to be loved as if you are a part of their family, right? It requires that deep, Cancer Moons, they want to build something that's very foundational. They don't want to waste time. They want something that is going to nourish them on a soul level, on an emotional and soul level. They want a beautiful home that really gives them a great energy, a great feeling of a lot of times there's family too, but I guess this isn't about family. So I think it's someone who's very vulnerable, who they can be vulnerable emotionally with, someone who is open in these types of ways, and here you need to have that deep emotional connection, right? Being able to be on the same page in that respect, not feeling gaslit. I don't think anyone wants that. And I wrote, they're not here to mess around. They need to feel a sense of security, on all levels. Deep emotional bonds only, no evasiveness. Let's handle this right now, or else it will linger and bother the sensitive Cancer Moon. Yeah, so Cancer Moon does not like to just like, it would prefer to kind of figure things out. Don't let them sit. Air moons, for example, might be more willing to let things sit, figure out later, deal with the emotions later. Well, the Cancer moon, the emotions are there, right? They're to be dealt with in that moment. So, yeah. And I think besides that, I mean, with all the water moons, it's going to be the same. It's going to be, you're gifted with this great intuition, this great sensitivity, but also, in empathy. But so it's like having someone who doesn't take advantage of that very kind soul who likes to give. And then, obviously just like a good energy, right? Someone who isn't. I think like open-minded is very important because you want to be able to talk about a range of different subjects or emotions, whatever that is. But yeah, just being able to really, really just talk and just go, just flow, say whatever comes out, and not have to worry like you're walking on eggshells. And yeah, definitely with Cancer, it's serious in the sense that it doesn't, like I said, it's very sensitive. So it's like, okay, like I'm not gonna just like, don't waste my time, usually Cancer moons don't want to get in relationships that don't have the potential to become something bigger, right? Okay, Pisces. So Pisces moons, this one, I think one of the most important things for Pisces moon is to be with someone who doesn't cut them off from their ability to dream. We live in a world that's very Capricornian, right? And Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Pisces likes to imagine, Pisces is a sign of inventors, right? People who pioneer and who, first through imagining what's possible. That's, they imagine what's possible, intuit what's possible, and then that creates, then they create the physical manifestations. But it's like, there's so much magic that Pisces moon has, but it's also very, very sensitive, right? So it's like a fragile type of energy in the sense that it's a sponge. It's such a sponge. So it takes on all the negative, but all the positive too. So I think like being with someone who gives space also just because they like just a really, really good or a good energy person, right? But definitely someone who doesn't break down their dreams, who where they feel like they can just like I know I just said this the last time, but they feel like they can just freely associate. And the best imagination in the sign that has its head in the clouds could sure benefit from someone both at the same time non-judgmental / peaceful and also grounding. Yeah, I think like Pisces is a sign that can be very not in this world, but it's so creative, right? And what you see sometimes with Pisces moons or Pisces placements in relationships that are not good for them is that they get cut off from that magical side of themselves, and they kind of just like form one with the other person. It's not just romantic relationships, right? So it's important, like it's like night and day, because the Pisces might not even notice when they're in this situation. They'll notice, but they still could stay in these relationships, right? Because they can be very disillusioned by like, oh, who this person, they could over idealize people in love and whatnot, and see the good in them. But it's really like judging. It's best to judge things by how how you feel, how you don't feel, what you feel like with yourself, right? You have certain people where you feel like you can just talk and talk and talk and talk, and it's like a very like nice flow, and they just kind of naturally get you. And I think for Pisces moons, that is very important because not everyone's going to understand, right? So, yeah. Okay, now for fire. So start with Aries. So, okay. Aries moons definitely need to be in relationships that offer them independence, where they're very fiery people. So they can have anger sometimes, or at least just like very fiery moments. So, you know, there's not really much passive aggression usually with Aries moons. So it's good to have someone who appreciates that. Like I always say, like I would rather someone, you know, scream at me than be passive aggressive. Like, you know, so it's like that kind of thing where, yeah, the Aries moon most definitely likes someone who gives them their independence, who isn't like insecure and always, you know, needing them for everything. They really want someone who is not a pushover. So Aries moon sometimes will test their partners. Obviously, it depends on the whole chart, but they're very, very strong, right? Aries moons, everyone I know, it's very, 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 very strong person. So, you know, they obviously don't want someone who's weak. Let's see, I wrote, so blah, blah, blah. It's easy for them to dominate and wear the pants in the relationship, but they usually lose respect for someone weak-willed. They also lose respect for people they consider clingy. Yeah, because it's Aries, the first sign, the sign of independence. Fire is about action, and yes, the opposite can attract. So no moon combo can't work, right? So remember, for all these, there's no moon combo that just doesn't work automatically. But generally, Aries moon wants to be able to just go. So what I mean by that is that Aries moon is adventurous. It wants to be able to live life and just like wake up each day and just go do this, go do that. It's not about like overthinking things. So it likes someone who can also be like spontaneous, adventure buddy, that kind of thing. So because they can be so fiery and sometimes angry, it's good for that person. I should get a hold of this here. It's good for that person to be someone that calms them, even by just looking at them or being in their energy. Yeah, so as I said, like a calming influence, but yeah, that could be good. I mean, I've known people, Aries moons, who've dated other Aries moons where it's just like two rams going at each other all day. Okay, next, Sag moon. So Sag moon, that's my moon sign, need a ton of freedom, right? So what, you know, first of all, here, Sag moon, it's anti-clingy, right? It's very much about, and also one of the most important things for a Sag moon in relationships is philosophy or one's philosophical outlook on life, right? So one of the biggest turnoffs for a Sag moon is a closed-minded person, or someone who just thinks that they know better than either you, the Sag moon, or just people in general. And it's very interesting because there's a lot of like every moon sign probably has, you know, one or a few turnoffs that maybe compared to other moon signs wouldn't be that big of a deal. I think mostly for Sag moon, it is around that, like not necessarily just like intellectual, but I think every Sag moon, I know a lot of Sag moons, right? And the importance of having open-mindedness, the importance of being able to like not just like flow and philosophize. It's not just only about philosophy, like you're a bunch of Greek philosophers. It's like it's also politics. It's also big picture spirituality. You know, it's Sagittarius represents the truth, right? So Sag moons are literally philosophers, right? They're people who are always thinking about the big picture, and a lot of these people are people who have spent a lot of their lives learning, right? They're just people who love learning. So when you have someone who's very arrogant, who comes around and who tries to shove things in your face, and you're just like, yeah, I literally like studied that like 20 years ago, and this is like complete bullshit. Don't bring that around me. It's like things like that could be huge turnoffs, right? So let's see what I wrote. So freedom in space is a deal breaker, yeah, because yeah, Sag moons can definitely have, yeah, Aquarius is similar, but Sag moons are constantly growing in terms of their understanding of truth. They like partners who are from foreign cultures, who can just really give them a good/new perspective on life. Yeah, so like another thing about Sag moon is that it's a moon sign of someone who's always growing, who's very optimistic, also who's very positive. So you don't want to be around a downer. If you're a Sag Moon, you are. It's too simplistic to say like every Sag Moon is just like happy all the time, but they're eternal optimists nearly always, right? So, sometimes you'll have people who want to steal that light from you, or who want to like, oh, why are you so optimistic, or why, this or that, like why don't you be more realistic? And it's not, it's not to say anything's bad. It's just that, Sag Moon, you shouldn't be around people like it's good to have the thing about Jupiter is that it can go too high, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm gonna bet everything on red. So it is good to have grounding influences in that way. It's just very much like a measurement of like, okay, is this person restricting me, or are they actually doing something very good for me, grounding me, because I'm overexpansive. So they like partners who are from foreign cultures who can really give them a good new perspective on life. They also need a ton of independence and energetic resets when the energy of the relationship gets stale. It is good to take short breaks from your partner as it makes everything easier. Yeah. I mean, I really think Sag and Gem Moons, like, it's so much of life is about adventure, and so much of, trial and error. And it's not necessarily like, oh, I want to, date this person or date that person. And it's just really like, it might be like, oh, I want to live in this country, or I want to have this experience of life, right? So it's not always a question of, when I speak about commitment issues, not to say every Sag Moon has them, but so that high level of philosophical just that high level of philosophical thought makes them question things about like, what type of relationship do I want to live? Like, what is it worth being in a relationship, right? So, yeah. And then it's like, okay, if I'm in a relationship, what's the opportunity cost? What am I losing? A lot of Sag Moons, they value freedom more than anything. So it's like a good relationship for a Sag Moon or Gemini Moon or something like that, Aquarius Moon, could be one with different non-traditional rules, right? Okay, so Leo Moon. So Leo Moon, to finish out the fire, let's see, we are at, so a Leo Moon, this moon sign is different than the first two for sure. It is far more important for them to receive a ton of love and attention, and they tend to be very sensitive. Leo Moon do well with partners of all sorts. They just need to be able to be themselves and laugh with the person. So inner child needs to be able to come out, as more are naturally playful and good and good laughs. Would be hard for Leo Moon to be with someone super, super serious, but still nothing is impossible. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Leo Moon, so obviously it is a fire sign, it's a fixed fire sign. They're the eternal youth, right? So they want relationships that are fun, that have that passion, that have that zest, that aren't overly serious in the sense of the mood. Like, they want to be able to laugh with their partners. They want to be able to, enjoy good movies and good conversation, and very, very big on loyalty, right? So I think, even just being a fire moon in general, every fire moon is going to have that shared need of, okay, I need to act, right? I'm a fire moon. I need you have an emotional need to act. But Leo moons definitely, I think, like to be with someone who's going to treat them very, very special. I think everyone wants that to an extent, but it's not a narcissistic thing. It's just that Leo moons do like to, they're not going to settle for a relationship usually where like they're not the center of attention, or where there's like, like I was just talking about Sag, Aquarius, Gemini, like they're not going to go for, what's it called? A relationship where there's multiple people. I can't remember. Yeah. So Leo rules creativity, the inner child. So a Leo moon needs to be able to be in that state of play, right? It doesn't mean acting like a child. It just means they need to be able to be in that creative state of play. So they need someone that makes them feel like a kid, or like that makes them feel in that inner child mode. And they have so much warmth that, and they're very, very gregarious. They're very giving, that they don't want to waste that on someone who's just going to be taking it, or someone who is kind of like what I said about Sag Moon. Someone who's going to be like, what, why are you so, so sunny in this case, right? So happy, optimistic. Okay, so now we go to Virgo, do the Earth. So Virgo Moon, they care a lot about details, and they really expect, they a lot of times they show their love by the little things they do, and actions speak louder than words. So they expect people, they notice everything. So they expect, they want someone who's also kind of obviously like wired like them in a way, right? Where they have similar ways of viewing life, similar ways of, kind of like where a lot of their observations, a lot of the way that they experience everyday life, which could be quite mercurial, right? A little bit more on the mental side sometimes, isn't seen as a bad thing. Like literally, my mom's a Virgo sun. Her new boyfriend is a Virgo moon. And I saw it in person last night. I was like, this is funny, just the Virgo energy, right? Because it's like I could totally see that with, not to say that Virgos only need each other, but I could see like how, with other more, let's say, laid back energies, like a Pisces moon, they'd be like, oh, I don't care about doing the dishes like that or cleaning like that, stuff like that. So they're very reliable, so they can expect the same in love. Yeah, so they expect the same in love. Sometimes they expect perfection in a human, which is impossible, and they are just disappointed. Yeah, that's another huge thing about Virgo moon, is that they can expect perfection in a human, because it can be a projection of them expecting that perfection themselves. So they can be very, very critical. But when they're a healed Virgo moon, that doesn't happen, and it can become a lot more like the opposite sign Pisces. A lot of Virgos are. So it's important for them to get out of their own heads. A good type of relationship for them is consistent, but not boring, where the person might share some of the same values they do around organization, cleanliness, order, and all that stuff. But mainly they just want, so that stuff just might sound trivial, but it's very, very true. Like a Virgo moon, they like say they own a house. They want things to look a certain way. Like they will lose their fucking minds, and I don't blame them. Like when things are messy, it's disgusting. It's horrible. It's like, why do you have nice things if you're gonna treat them like stuff like badly, right? Or why do you have anything? So that stuff really does matter. Everything, also stuff like cooking, stuff like even design. Like Virgo can be very, very good with things like design and just little details, right? Interests. Virgo moons tend to have very specific interests, and it's good for them to have them in common too. And also the routines, of course. Let's not forget the routines. Virgo moon can be very, very consistent and have a certain routine. So obviously I'm not gonna say that your partner has to have the exact same routine as you, but it wouldn't hurt, right? Okay. So they are not here to mess around and play mind games, although strong communication and intellectual connection is very important. Right. So they can be overthinkers for sure. So it's good to have someone that they feel like they're on a level playing field in terms of communication, right? They want to, like, everything should be said. And a lot Virgo moons can have anxiety issues, right? If you saw my mental health video, because there can be like this Mercury moon. There can be like this over intellectualizing of the emotions. So another good thing potentially could be someone that pulls them out of that, right? If we're talking about like growth. Now, of course, everything in balance, because if it's any two signs, I want to be clear. Anybody can work with anybody if the souls love each other enough. It's just, I think Virgo, I think all these things are important for Virgo. Okay, let's go Taurus. So Taurus is similar in a sense, kind of similar to Virgo, as they value reliability and consistency. Taurus moon doesn't want to build a lot of mini houses. They prefer to take the time to build one mega mansion. So once again, another sign, Venus ruled moon, that it's very chill. Taurus moons are very chill, right? So they don't want all that drama stuff. They want someone who they care. So they care a lot about touch, right, and the senses, the good parts of life. You know, like I said, the cooking, the anything, you know, walks through nature. Not to be stereotypical, but Taurus is laid back. They like to, you know, a lot of them like Taurus moons like to work with their hands. They like to nap. They like to, you know, it's funny because like you can have a Taurus moon that has like a very like an Aquarius or Sag or whatever, you know, whatever sun or ascendant can kind of make them look a little bit different. But at the end of the day, they're a Taurus moon. You know, at the end of the day, they're all about reliability, right? They're simple, even if they're not. Like on one level, on an emotional level, they are simple, and that's what makes Taurus moon so great, is that they can be so present. So, of course, they're gonna want someone. I think Taurus moon, honestly, come to think of it, of course, like they're gonna appreciate like that Virgo Taurus archetype more, right? And I know Taurus and Virgo are like two signs that do really well together. But I feel like there's a huge range of what Taurus moon can work with, you know? Just because it has that ability to just be so relaxed and so chill. Not that they all are, of course. You can have a really bad aspect of Taurus moon. I know someone with one, and she's not relaxed at all. But yeah, let's see. So yeah, so to build a one mega mansion. That's just, yeah, they'd rather like take the time, slowly develop a relationship and not feel rushed. They need to feel very secure and grounded before making a decision. So Taurus is ruled by Venus. So Taurus moon people need all kinds of touch, cuddling, and anything that gets the physical senses going. They prefer to take things slow and steady, never rush a Taurus moon because it will not work out any ways. Taurus loves a creative, artistic bond. Yeah, that too with Venus for sure. That too with Venus for sure. Okay, Capricorn. So, okay, Capricorn moon's a big one. So these people are complex, right? So I wrote, you probably see me write full articles on them. They need the same things on my Instagram, Jesse and Sinestro. They need the same things that these other two earth signs need, like reliability and long-term consistency / real potential, but there are differences. A Capricorn moon on a karmic level needs someone who's going to get them to open up emotionally. So Capricorn moons, the thing is that they can be very, very closed and be very, very difficult for them to open up, you know, to anyone, even to themselves, right? So what kind of person is it that they feel that high level of recognition, soul recognition and safety, to where, you know, it could take them a long time, but to where they really start to come out of their shell, which is like the real healing for Capricorn moon is when they start talking about what's inside, because a lot of them have this feeling that a lot of shame around what's inside, and they think that no one else has that, but really everyone else has that. You know, that's the thing. That's a big realization for Capricorn moon, is when they actually get out of that shell and the magic truly comes. I've seen it so many times when they start doing therapy, when they start going to, you know, a friend or a partner, and like I'm not the Mr. guy who's like having heart to hearts all the time. Like I'm not that at all, right? But you know, a cat moon, I do think that like a cat moon, it's almost like there's a threshold that you have to get past. It's like with meditation, in my experience, or like riding a bike. Once you learn to ride it, you can pick it up years later and go. And it's like, yes, you still have to continue to work, but if there's things that you've never talked to anyone about, especially as any moon sign, but really especially as a Capricorn moon, because they tend to hold it in, and then especially like the male Capricorn moons, they can have this feeling of like, oh, I have to hold this, right? Everyone's expecting me to be the big person. Like I don't need to, like I don't want to put my negativity or my sadness or whatever on anyone else. And then, but like the thing is, that sadness is felt so deeply by everyone. You could be in a mansion. If a cat moon's in there depressed, you will, without saying anything, you will feel it so heavy, like a rock, like Saturn. So people who can maybe bring a little bit of something different. And cat moons are all about duty, right? And sometimes they care too much about a lot of times it's the males, about, you know, what society thinks of them, but they really want to do something that's good for society. So it's like they could, you know, they could be with someone who they really, really respect, you know, who's doing like, let's say, who's doing like a kind of work that they look up to. You know, oh, this person's an activist, for example, or this person has worked really, really hard their career. It's almost like they could love, and Capricorn rules older age, so they look for maturity. I'm really spinning about Capricorn Moon, goddamn. You know, but they do look for someone who's mature, right? It could be even be someone older or older on a metaphor, you know, on a spiritual level, but someone who can truly give them wisdom and who will be loyal, right? It is the opposite of Cancer. Capricorn Moon, in my experience, are very, very sensitive, even though you wouldn't think so, but they are. They just fucking are. And it's just that rock needs to be, the rock that's blocking the water of their emotions needs to be pushed out of the way, but they're the only ones that can push it. So what else did I say? So it needs someone who is going to get them to open up emotionally, as it can be very hard for them, especially men. They are ruled by Saturn, so they will want someone mature and who they respect. The idea of power couple is nice for Cat Moon. Yeah, I said all that stuff. Okay, finally the air. So, Libra. So Libra Moon, obviously, like the first thought is like, okay, well, Libra Moon, they need relationships. Libra rules relationships, 7th house. The thing is that the low vibe of Libra Moon is so obsessed with relationships, it's codependent. Let's just see what I wrote. They need relationships, sometimes too much. It's important for them to not fall into the trap of codependency, where their happiness depends on whether they are in a relationship or not. Right? So that's step one, is a Libra Moon has to fall in love with themselves and fall in love with the idea of being single, so that they don't fall into the feeling like they need relationships to give them value. Air moons are not always the most emotional, but this one is very relationship oriented and wants peace at all costs. Now, yeah, peace. So sometimes, as you know, Libra moons will sacrifice their own peace for the peace of the relationship. It's really important for them to lean into the opposite sign, Aries, and learn how to be assertive and learn how to, you know, make sure their needs are met. It is key for them not to be overly dominant people who take advantage of the Libra moons. Need to keep balance and keep that homeostasis. They also need strong communication, someone who adds beauty to their life. They are very good at seeing the good in others, partners especially, so it's important for the give-take ratio to be even. Yeah, so a lot of times Libra moons will fall into relationships with people who just take. And it's very important for them to be in these fair and balanced relationships, right? So the fact that's air also adds a level of you know, the need for like high level communication, intellectual connection, and you know, Libra is about beauty. Libra is Venus rule. It's about beauty. So that doesn't mean that they're only looking for people who are good looking, but they want a beautiful romantic relationship. It's very romantic moon sign. So romantic gestures, you know, and then I think also for Libra moons, they do want to be able to go, like every air sign, air moon, and, you know, have a partner who they can take to their friends, who they can like do social stuff with. But yeah, I think that the issue with Libra moon, like I said, is that they can become very like Pisces. They can have big boundary issues, and their whole life can become their partner. And like basically every Libra moon I talk to at one point in their life goes through this, right? And they either make it out. Usually they do. Well, I mean, the ones I talk to do. But like the thing is that you can get stuck in this type of relationship, right? You can get stuck in, you know, in a relationship with in a life where you can get stuck defining yourself based on based on someone else, right? That has nothing to do with you. So that's why you need someone who's sensitive, who listens, who asks questions, who wants to know who you are, because you don't want to be someone who's just super narcissistic and just controlling, and basically that happens to a lot of Libra moons. So yeah, really just peace. And yeah, just not falling into the codependency trap. Okay, Aquarius. So Aquarius Moon, I already said some stuff about it, but like Sag Moon, it's all about freedom. Like Aries Moon, it's all about individuality, like the process of individualism, right? Where through your life you are detaching from conditioning and constantly learning more and more about who you are. This is the essence of Aquarius. It's the opposite of following trends. It's about you doing you, right? And it's about being very, very, very authentic. And sometimes when you're authentic, you outgrow relationships, or you change in a way, you realize, oh, this is something about me, and it doesn't align with other elements in your life. So I wrote, like Sag Moon, Aqua Moons are all about freedom. They also are all about doing things in their own unique way. So it would be very bad for them to be with someone who restricts any of these two, right? So I always talk about this concept I call the Aquarian relationship, right? Because I have a lot of planets in Aquarius and Sag, and I believe that for most people, it's more beneficial. Most, right? You realize that not everyone. Okay, for many people, it could be beneficial to have a very non-traditional Aquarius, right? Non-traditional, keyword for Aquarius, type of relationship that involves a lot of space, Aquarius, where you can still be your own individual, Aquarius, right? And the other person can still be their own individual with their own friends, with your own friends, Aquarius, and their own friends, and you can come together, right? Different bedrooms, different bathrooms, if possible, even potentially living separately. But like I still think living the best is living together. Obviously, if you're but I just really think that the world has got it wrong in a lot of ways. The whole traditional. I know that a lot of this has to do with economically what you're able to do, right? So I understand this message is more of like an idealistic, more of the ideal of what if you had an infinite choice. But I think that what's like if there's like a 70% divorce rate, I don't know if that's just the United States or that's international, I have no idea, but a very high divorce rate in the world, right? So it's like, if you actually think about the money, if you're trying to think about it logically, it's okay, well, how much does that cost? What's the psychological cost of the kids, etc.? Well, taking energetic breaks is magic for Aquarius Moon, for just in general, right? But being able to tell someone, look, I know this isn't the regular way that relationships are done, but I need to spend some time away from you. You're amazing, right? It's nothing about you. I just want to be in my own energy because that's what I like, and that's kind of how I feel. I kind of regain myself, right? And people think, well, that's not Aquarius, that's Pisces. Okay, yeah, I could go for Pisces too. A lot of the things I'm saying work for other moon signs, but you could probably watch this whole video and get so much input on just relationships in general. I want let me know in the comments if there's anyone who's doing that. But yeah, definitely Aquarius moons, like they can be a little bit quirky or very individualistic as well, right? So the last person they want to be with is someone who's just following trends, or someone who cares what other people think, and is going to try to like question them, like, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like they're gonna beat to the beat of their own drum. So they want someone who also has that level of confidence, right? A level of confidence and self-esteem to where they're not going to let other people's judgments of them. Not that every Aquarius moon is just some like rogue, but yeah, they are the rebel, right? They are literally the rebel. So they're always necessarily going to rebel against societal norms. Let's see. Aries moons don't typically feel emotions very quickly, and Aqua moons may intellectualize emotions instead of truly feeling them. It's key for them to feel like they can still be themselves. Okay, so yeah, so Aqua moons are obviously infamous for having that kind of ability to, I always say, like the emotional impact, or the emotional, the thing happens, the Cancer moon feels it and cries about it right away, and the Aquarius moon takes them 8 months to realize, oh yeah, I was sad about that, right? So it's like that aloofness can come through in relationships. So I think Aquarius moons, I know a lot of Aquarius people, that emotions are not their strong point, but it's also just like they need someone who's independent. They need someone who can kind of understand them in that way and give them that space. Because a lot of times what happens with Aquarius is that they meet people who might not even think, like, I used to be like that. Like I used to always date Aquarius girls, and I didn't think I was a clingy person, but like it would turn me clingy, like way back in the day. And I was like, what the heck? Like how? You know, it's because Aquarius are like cats, right? So, you know, when there's too much energy, they'll move away, but then they'll come back. Yeah. So Aries moons are not always blah blah blah. They want, but this one is okay. No, wrong one. So they like people who are not afraid to be themselves. Yeah. So the key for them, is for them is to feel like they can still be themselves exactly as they were before the relationship began, while in the relationship, right? So that's a huge thing. So some people, when they get into relationships, everything changes, right? Like that person becomes the only person in the world. Aquarius is like, no, like I want my life to stay relatively the same. They like people who are not afraid to be themselves and let their inner weirdo out, because then they feel safe letting theirs out. Very true for Leo also, which is ultra important as their interests tend to be very ahead of their time, and they can be misunderstood very easily. In the end, communication is key, and someone who trusts them, as long as they are not lying, and makes an effort to understand all their nuances, is the best. Right. Yeah, so it's another part of that is like being ahead of your time, right? It's like, you know, not to say every Aquarius moon is like that, but Aquarius in general. So they need people who can think openly. Okay, what's next? So last one, Gemini Moon. So let's see what I wrote. It is important for them to always be on the move. They are so curious about life and would do well with a partner who, at the very least, doesn't hinder this curiosity. If anything, like Sagittarius, it would be great if the person added some level of novelty where they are able to learn from the other person. Okay, so let's start there. So always being on the move, right? Gemini Moon is here to experience. So when you're here to experience, that can kind of go to what I was saying before about potential commitment issues, right? If you're always there can just be that feeling of like, what am I missing? What am I missing? And I think that Aquarius Moon or Gemini Moon can sometimes be socially like a social butterfly, and because it's ruled by Mercury, with lovers, it wants to be best friends with their lovers before, it's very, very big on communication, very, very big on having shared interests, having, a very good vocal relationship. So I think about this a lot because I live in Argentina right now, right? And I'm a Sag moon. I'm not a Gemini moon. But I've thought about this before. I was like, I wonder, like, because everyone speaks Spanish there. The English is not great. It's the first country I've lived in where the English, well, besides France, but, anyways, it's like, I wonder, like, how would someone who's very Mercury based do in a country like that? Because words, like actual words, matter so much. Being able to have, there's that emotional need to Gemini moons can talk a lot sometimes. They're just very, they have a lot going on, right? So they need someone who also can kind of contribute to that. And when I talk about curiosity, I talk about, it's like life is trial and error for Gemini Moon, right? Life is about, okay, like this looks fun. It's not, I don't mean that as this person, jump on this person, that person. No, it's not that. It's just like, okay, this looks fun. This looks interesting. And if they could have a solid rock who allows them, and they come back to that person because it's a mutable sign, so it can be a little bit ungrounded, or an adventure buddy, someone, there's so many different potentials. It's just like someone who, at the end of the day, with all of these, it's like you understand the natural propensity of these moon signs, and then it's like, okay, like what kind of person, kind of person that understands that and doesn't judge it and doesn't take away from it, right? And then max points for adds to it, right? But at the very least doesn't kind of try to bring that person in. Oh, what are you doing? Why are you going there? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like, Now, of course, like there's limits, there's boundaries to everything, right? I'm not saying just because you're a Gemini moon, you can get in a relationship and just be a piece of shit. Obviously not. But they're Gemini moons, they need to get, they need to be honest about experience, right? Third house. So, you know, having that mercurial connection, I think, is important. Having that throat chakra to throat chakra or whatever, you know, just being able to, yeah, really be understood. And, okay. If the person adds some level of novelty where they're able to learn from the other person. Yeah, so with that, it's like, okay, you might want someone where you know, it's not necessarily like they're just from a different culture or they're from a different background, but, you know, where they have interests, right? Where they have a level of intellect or you know, a lot of Gemini moons are very attracted to intelligence, right? Is that called sapiosexual? I'm not sure. It's not to say that all of them are, but, you know, Gemini, Sag, Aquarius, like these types of signs, like they care a lot about ideas, right? They care a lot about ideas that might be a little bit, you know, Gemini is a very creative energy. So, and I think all three of those also kind of get pushed away, pushed aside for being, you know, it's tough to kind of settle in one place, right? Energetically, it's tough to make, and this probably goes for every, like, most moon signs, right? Like Scorpio as well. Like, it's tough to make a decision of like, okay, I'm going to commit to being with this person, to doing this, when you've seen yourself change so much throughout your life that you're like, I don't know who I'm going to be in a few years, right? So, okay, but overall, Gemini moons need great communication, and this goes for all air moons, yeah, the Aquarius and Libra too. They're just not so emotionally led like other moon signs. It doesn't mean they don't have emotions. They just might not feel them as quickly and deeply as a Cancer moon. I always use Cancer moon, or Scorpio moon. It really depends on the entire chart, but Gemini moon can, and most air moon people don't want a crybaby. They want an adventurous soul who either goes with them or encourages them while giving them the freedom and independence they need. They also love great discussions and get intellectually turned on. Okay, I know it's said it twice. See what I'm doing here, guys? I have like posts that I wrote like years ago that I haven't looked at, and I'm just like, I did this last week too. It's kind of fun where I'm just like looking at what I wrote and then like giving my take on how I see it now. So they also get, yeah, so I didn't know I was going to say that twice. They get turned on by whatever I said. They also love great discussions and get intellectually turned on. Same goes for the arts. You got to work hard to keep a Gemini moon interested in you. So that's everything. Obviously, let's be very clear, guys. Let's be very, 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 very clear. Hold on, let me, right. No, I don't need to. Guys, everything I said is a very, not dumbed down, but like in astrology, this is just your moon sign. You can't take anything in a vacuum. That's why you need to get a chart reading done or understand your chart, understand how it works with your sun, how it works with your ascendant, but mainly what aspects your moon. Do you have a Gemini moon like I was just talking about, but it's opposite Saturn, right? Do you have let's see, a Capricorn moon, but it's conjunct Neptune, like so many people do from you know, or Uranus, right? This changes everything. You know, how is it different to have a Scorpio moon that doesn't have any tough aspects when you're a Pisces sun with like 3 planets in Cancer or three other planets in Scorpio, and then you know, the other planets in Taurus compared to that same one, but then like you're like, you know, double Sag with Aries and with Aquarius, right? Obviously everything is with respect to the context. Now, I want to say that, you know, also the house placement of your moon matters a ton also. But when it comes to romance, the moon sign is super, super important. And I think the best way to look at it is to understand your moon. Obviously, I have other videos that talk, and when I do, if you want to get a natal chart reading from me, go to jesseannisinastrology.com. and you can sign up directly, and I'll get it done for you in the, within a few weeks. A live one, we could literally schedule it for this week. But yeah, like at the end of the day, anything I say in a video like this, I like, if it were me, I would watch this entire video and I would think like, because ultimately we are all 12 signs, in a way, right? But like these are energies that are that kind of work for all humans in a way, in different ways, right? But that's for another time, the discussion for another time. But don't let anything in astrology limit you. I have a whole video about this, but I want to say in the context of love, just because your astrology doesn't add up, right? Like, let's say that you meet someone and you're anxious. It's like, oh my God, I haven't met someone in a while, whatever. And you don't have that, you're looking at astrology and it's not clicking to you. God works in mysterious ways, guys. I've had a few ladies in the past few years, or not few years, 18 months, let's just say, where nothing happened, but it was almost like God was showing me so I could show you guys that the most perfect, I'm talking perfecto, like the most perfect compatibility, synastry, meet the time, just insane. I'm telling you guys, like even like the trans of when we met, like I'm not even looking for this stuff. I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. But it happened 2 times where I wasn't even over analyzing it or anything like that. I was just like, this is straight up nuts, right? Like how all these factors could, like how this, in my head, I'm like, watch this not turn into anything, but at the same time, like there's no way all these coincidences could happen. This could be nothing. And both times, I'm not gonna say they were nothing, great girls, but like nothing happened with either of them. One of them was especially insane, right? But like while I was talking to her, I was like, there's no way. I mean, she lives like across the world, like, and it just the way, like, I was just like, there's no way. But like, it was like, we met on the day that sorry, again, it's story time, that Venus and Neptune in North Node were all on my sun exact. That's when we randomly met on Instagram, not in person. In our composite chart, we had Venus conjunct Neptune, right? And then in our synastry, my Venus was on her Neptune and her Venus was on my Neptune. Literally, all those. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, and there's other stuff too. And I'm just like, what is happening? Like, how is this happening? Because I didn't realize that we met on that day. And then it just like turned into nothing, So the point is that what I took from that and from another experience and from experiences from clients is that sometimes, especially when you know astrology, God is so perfect, and we don't try to like act like we understand God, right? But God is so perfect that like there'll be things that like I took that as like God talking to me. Jesse, I know you understand this shit. I know you understand astrology. Well, guess what? I'm not going to make it easy for you at all. So I'm going to give you this what looks like this perfect relation, this girl that you're going to think is like your soulmate, or that the astrology is going to make it look like that. And then a different one. This makes it sound like I'm a huge playboy. I swear I'm not. I swear I don't even look. Like I don't even look. I don't. It's just little things, random things that have happened, right? Because like this other girl, who I wasn't even like interested, like I wasn't even considering. Like, she was like way too young for me, and she messaged me. And I'm just like, whatever, And just for fun, I took a look at like the composite, right? And it was like Venus conjunct on the descendant, conjunct Sun, conjunct North Node. Like it was just like some insane, I forget exactly what. I never even met her, but like it was just like, what? Like, what is this? Like, what is this, right? And someone could be thinking, well, why don't you give them chances? No, it's not that. It's like it's not that I didn't give them chances. It's like I've been getting this message very strongly that, it's almost as if the astrology can be perfect or amazing between two individuals who are not meant to have any real contact in this life. and can be used as a way in some cases to make us continuously get like not know. Because if we knew, especially with love and anything in life, like karmically, right, it would be too easy. That's why we don't remember past incarnations. It would be too easy, right? The whole amnesia from past lives, that's there spiritually for a reason. That's why God created us to come into this lifetime with no memory, because, you know, I could get into deeper into that, right? That's the whole point of soul evolution. If I remember that I was, you know, Merlin's assistant or whatever in a past life, maybe I would have a bigger spiritual ego, you know? So that's interesting. And my main point is that, guys, follow your heart. That's what God wants. Follow your heart. Understand your biases, your chart can help you understand your biases, understand how, you know, what you know, things like that. But don't let, just because your astrology, like, yes, it is usually correct. I've had times where I've seen the astrology and I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. Hell no. And then it works for a while. I'm like, oh, the astrology was wrong. And then it doesn't work. And I'm like, yeah, I was right. But like, you know, I'm happy. It would be a very sad reality or sad life, I think, if you know, someone went to, so let's say someone comes to me and they're like, should I date this person? And just because like there isn't this perfect, you know, composite chart, because I do compatibility readings too, and just because there's a lot going on with the synastry that's difficult, I was like, nah. And then, yeah, I guess you could say a lot about fate, you know, that if it's really meant to be that those two people would end up together, but still, like, we're here to follow our hearts, right? We're here to follow our hearts. We're here to understand ourselves, understand other people. I think that's the best way that you can use romantic astrology, is to understand yourself, understand who you are, understand who you're not, and then understand who that other person is, right? If I understand that this person has this placement that makes them act in this way, and that placement comes from this thing that happened to them, right? Like, it makes a lot more sense than, you know, just a random kind of life. All right. Well, I guess that's all for today. Let me know what you guys think of this video, this format. Guys, I've kind of been not losing it. I'm doing good, doing better right now. But I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's been way more hard. Like, I'm not that good. I have no earth in my chart. I'm just trying to not stop with a video each week. This is 67, I think, which is crazy for me to have that type of commitment, or to just like not with how big of a head case I am. Just being honest, right? Like, to not, and what I've been through in the last, like, you know, 2 years, right? I've opened up a little bit. It's crazy that I haven't missed a week, and I know I'm not expecting growth on YouTube like so fast. It's whatever, you know. It goes like. But I appreciate you guys, and yeah, obviously, hit me up if you guys, or just go to my website or hit me up. Follow my Instagram, Jesse Innocent Astro. I've been creating way less, but I'm gonna get a new computer super soon. Finally, this one just makes like a ton of noises, and not gonna get into it. But either way, I appreciate everyone, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. What your moon sign is, how you relate to it. I know this is a long video. I'm trying to stretch it to exactly an hour. But as I was just finishing by saying, there's been a lot of ups and downs, and yeah, I'm just happy I haven't missed a week. And you know, this new format, I'm not gonna do this every week, but if I don't have like a big idea in my head, you know, of something like new to talk about, there's a lot you can talk about. Like, you know, it's like, why not take like a post I made when I was really, you know, creatively inspired, and just, you know, just do it. Just read it and then add what I add to it now based on anything that comes to my head. I kind of like it. So anyways, what else? Enjoy July, August, first week, second week of August, things should be getting kind of crazy. So I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying, let's hope for the best. Peace. And yeah. All right. I'm not going to make it to an hour, but actually we can. R.I.P. to my cat Whitey, 18-year-old cat who finally waited 18 months for me to come back. Oh, 18, it's my birthday, 18 March, from Argentina before he passed away the other day. So, all right. Thank you so much, guys. Ciao.